No.
Welcome to the show. I think we're on and we didn't realize it. Sorry about that, gang.
Morning.
All right. Welcome. We're going to change the name of the show to Faults and Fixes. Last week we were calling it the Golf Institute, but you know what? Now that next week is happening, we have a whole new list of shows that we're going to be doing. Those shows are from 6:30 to 7. Dr. Jeff's going to have a show called On the Move about golf fitness. From 7 to 7:30, Megan's going to have a show called The Ladies' Tee. From 7:30 to 8, we have Justin Koff and Dan Frankel. They're going to do something called Little Sticks, which is going to be our junior program. And then Anthony's going to be on from 8 to 8:30, and then we're going to have Faults to Fixes with all of us basically from 8:30 to 9. So I'm Kelley Brooke. I'm here today with Woody Lashin. Anthony Scorsia is going to join us today. Thank you. Justin Koff and Megan Youngman. Dr. Jeff is down at the Walker Cup.
Hanging with the president, or
yeah.
Hanging with 43.
Literally, George Bush is in the next room.
Yep.
He's staying in the next room.
With
Isn't that
all
weird?
his security.
I know.
He said
so
there was a
weird.
dog outside his room even.
Yeah.
I think that's
A canine.
fantastic.
That is awesome.
We get just a random picture and a text message of him with the president. It was amazing.
So he's down there doing his thing. You know, he does his thing with the USGA. He's the doctor on staff, and he stretches them and, you know, puts on those compression pants and everything else. So
Yeah, he's in
Good
charge
for
of
him.
all the doctors that go over there.
we're so lucky to have him here,
I know.
aren't we?
Yep.
All right, so we're going to do something a little different today because the phone lines are still not working back at the studio. So we asked friends and students and family to email us questions, which we're going to get to later. But I want to play a little game just to because this is always interesting because you get so many different opinions. So I'm going to give you guys a scenario, and then we're going to take it from there. So the first scenario is this. Your ball is 3 yards short of the green. The grass between you and the green is a perfectly cut fairway apron. The pin is 7 yards or 7 paces onto the front of the green. Would you hit a 60-degree wedge, a 56-degree wedge, a hybrid, or a putter?
Well, I'm going to go first.
Okay.
I always think a ball on the ground is a lot more reliable than a ball in the air. And seeing that I'd have no need to get this ball up in the air, besides just to go over the long grass and get it rolling on the green, I'm going to tell you I'm going to pick something low lofted. So probably none of those. Probably an 8-iron or a 9-iron, because I've got, so you're telling me I've got 21 feet, right? I've got 18 feet that I need that I can roll the ball once it lands on the green. I'm going to just bump it up there and let it run. Yep. Justin, what are you going to do?
I'm always going to putt.
Yeah.
And I tell all my students putter's the easiest club in the bag, right? There's very little motion when you're putting. It's simple. There's the face is basically straight. So if I move that putter 4 or 5 inches back, 4 or 5 inches through, minimal motion, it's going to get the ball rolling. You're going to figure out the distance as you do it. But I think the putter is the most reliable club in the bag. And I always tell people, if you can putt, putt.
I agree. You know what I think also is that, I always tell my students that you should hit the club that you're most comfortable with. But for most high handicappers, the putter is the easiest club to hit. But if you feel comfortable with an 8-iron, take an 8-iron. If you feel comfortable with a 56-degree wedge, take a 56-degree wedge. The only club I would try to stay away from is that 60-degree wedge because they're just so hard to control when you're a high handicapper.
They are.
But, yeah, I think it's best to get the ball on the green and rolling as soon as possible.
Well, what's the difference between chipping and pitching? No one seems to know.
Well, in my opinion, chipping and pitching, and Anthony, you're a high school coach, right?
Yep.
So you could even attest to this, but it's very simple to me. Chipping is a one-lever swing, meaning there are no wrists involved. Once you add a little wrist, all of a sudden it's 2 levers, meaning when you're chipping, your arm and the club are working as one unit. A 2-lever swing is when you add a little wrist. So your arms are one unit, and then the club is hinging, so that's another unit. When you have what kind of shots do you teach with your kids in school?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because that's one of the things that I don't think kids practice enough, and because they listen. They're young kids. They're impressionable. They see Phil Mickelson. They all want to hit the flop. But that's the first thing I do. We go on the course. We go in front of the green, and I say, okay, I want you to hit 5 with your wedge, 5 with a 9-iron, 5 with a 7-iron, and then let's see which ones you have a better dispersion.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Because they just want to hit the flop shot, or
right.
they want to. They're young and they get it. And listen, who doesn't want to be like Phil Mickelson? But it's not like you said. The safest shot is the most straight edge or the putter.
Absolutely.
That's the way I look at it.
Yep.
To complement what you said about the 1-lever swing, when we're thinking of am I going to chip it or am I going to pitch it, now that we all know the difference, I always think of, okay, if I need more air, meaning I have less green to work with and more grass to get over, now I'm pitching.
Mm-hmm.
If I have less grass to get over and a lot of roll that I can have, then I'm chipping.
Sure.
So,
Yep.
take a
All
shot.
right, here's scenario number 2. Okay, now let's move back in the fairway a little bit. So we're 30 yards from the green. The pin is 10 yards onto the green. There's nothing between us and the green. It's just fairway. It's perfectly flat. But we have a tight lie. There's very little grass. The ground is hard under the ball. What club would you use? Would you hit a 60-degree wedge, a 56-degree with probably a higher bounce on your club, or a pitching wedge? But let's do this. I'm going to have you answer this, Justin, but then I want Woody to chime in on this one. Because remember, it's hard pan. It's a super tight lie. There's very little grass.
Yeah, so I think definitely a lot of people would select the 56 and the 60. My personal opinion is we're going to take the pitching wedge out, and we're going to kind of lift our hands a little bit higher to play it almost more so like a putter, right? So we're going to take that pitching wedge, which has a little bit of loft, to get the ball jumping off the ground a little bit, and then we're going to make sure that we roll it kind of the same way we would a putter, making it nice and simple, taking the wrists out of it, and keeping that 1-lever swing. Again, my thing with all of these short game shots is to minimize motion.
Mm-hmm.
The more motion that we have, the more room we have for mistakes. So if I can take a little bit longer of a club and make a smaller motion with no trouble in front of me, I think that's the way to go.
I agree. Let's talk about bounce. I had one of those options was you had a 56 and a 60, and they have high bounce.
Yeah, so as a club fitter, when I'm fitting for short game, I'm trying to give you different options with bounce. Very simple. The more bounce you have, the better it is for soft conditions. The less bounce you have, the better it is for firm conditions. Of those 3 clubs, the club that's going to have the least amount of bounce is your pitching wedge.
Yep.
So that's going to give you your best chance off a really firm surface. If you were to use your 56 or 60 and you hit just a scooch behind it, or even if you might hit it just perfect, you can hit it very low and over the green. Where without the bounce on the pitching wedge, you can much better chance to make solid contact and get better results.
So, a couple years ago when I started playing again in tournaments, I had a set of wedges that had a high bounce. I went down to Pinehurst. Megan actually caddied for me. And I got there and I was like, oh my God, this ground is so hard and these lies are so tight that we actually went to Dick's Sporting Goods and bought new wedges.
Right.
Even though they weren't fitted to me, it was just better than, that high bounce because I couldn't hit a wedge off of those firm lies. It's different down south than it is up here because here we have a lot of rain, it's soft, the fairways are plush, at least at Bethpage Black they are.
Different grasses, right?
Exactly.
Different grasses.
Yep.
Yeah, well, different grasses and knowing your game, right? So maybe you're more of a shallow player and Justin's really steep.
Yeah.
So even if it's really firm, he's got to have a little more bounce than you do. But it's player specific.
Yep.
What do you do?
I love it.
I just wanted to, can you talk a little bit about turf interaction, right? I mean, and there's also dynamic bounce, right? I mean, in terms of...
the bounce is a really bad word, and we're trying not to get too technical here.
Right,
but,
right.
you see a wedge one says wedges I have 10 bounce, the other one says I have 12 bounce. That number you see is not the actual bounce. There's
Gotcha.
a lot that goes into how the sole interacts with the turf.
Right.
It's the radius of the leading edge. I go on and on and on.
Yep.
But the reality is, it's you need to figure out what is best for A, your game, and then B, the conditions you play under. So if you've got the right setup for your game, well, maybe, and let's say you have to carry that a little further. The pitching wedge might not be the right club, but it's the best one you have in your bag because Justin's steep. Well, Kelley, who's more shallow, might have a club in her bag and a 60-degree wedge that's got a lot less bounce, and she could use that club where Justin couldn't. But it's a setup for their individual games.
Yeah. That was very good, Woody.
Yep.
Before the show, I said to Woody, let's dumb this down a little bit
Yep.
so that everyone who's listening can understand. And that was very good. You still sounded very smart, so don't worry. All right, I think this is going to be fun to see if this happens correctly because we are in Bethpage and we are amateurs, and then we have John in Islip, and we're going to take a commercial break. Let's see if this commercial break actually happens. I'm counting on you, John, back there. I know you can do this out east. So we're going to take our first commercial break. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Spine Care Technologies is an amazingly innovative medical device company. Their flagship product, the Extend Track Elite, is world-renowned among pain management centers, sports medicine experts, physical therapists, and chiropractors. Spine Care Technologies is dedicated to improving sports performance by relieving acute, chronic back pain and its disabling effects. The Extend Track Elite is FDA cleared, non-surgical, drug-free, and has been praised by health professionals around the world for its excellent clinical results in treating low back pain. Learn more at spinecaretechnologies.com.
The all-new Hyperflex from FootJoy is tuned for golf, with every detail designed and developed with the golfer in mind. Starting at the top, it looks awesome. The fresh material on the upper provides a great fit that forms to your foot and is fully waterproof. Next, the all-new Rapid Fit system ensures a dialed-in, precision fit, wrapping your foot in complete security. It offers incredible comfort with the new Stratofoam midsole, coupled with the OptiFlex outsole so that the shoe and the foot move in unison, whether walking or swinging. Available now in laced and the new Rapid Fit system. Shop now at footjoy.com.
Hey, have you guys seen the new TaylorMade driver? Introducing the TaylorMade Sim 2. Built differently around a forged aluminum ring that shifts weight in new ways. They made it so long and forgiving, golfers can't wait for their next chance to tee off. Sim 2 gives every golfer the confidence to swing away every time they step up to the tee. Only from TaylorMade.
All right, and we are back. So do you think we should do one more before we answer questions? Okay, here's the last one. Now we're 20 yards off the green with a big, deep bunker between us and the green. We're in heavy rough, like it's like Bethpage black heavy, like it's thick and gnarly. The pin is in the back of the green, so we have a good 25 yards to roll the ball after it lands. How would you hit this shot, Justin?
So I think on this one, this is where, the kids can get happy, all the golfers can get excited. I think we can take out our 60-degree wedge, right? I think that this is an opportunity to go. And they rejoice, exactly. They're excited about it. They're taking out their 60. I think that, on this one, we want to get the ball up in the air, and, using that 60-degree wedge is going to give us the most reliable kind of opportunity to be aggressive through that rough, get the ball up in the air, get it over the bunker, and not have to worry necessarily about hitting it too far. So we have all that green to work with. We can be aggressive through the rough. Go ahead, golfers, get excited, choose your 60 and hit this shot on the green, and I think it'll be the best option for this one.
Yeah, I think you definitely need to tighten your grip up a little bit, though, because there's going to be a lot of friction between your club face and the grass. So you got to get aggressive. You got to get ready to hit that shot. So when you're in your pre-shot routine, you're going to have to hit this without fear. Number one, you got to swing through it, and you may have so much friction that you stop at the ball, and that's okay as long as you're coming in with a downward blow into it. Give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times with heavy rough, the heel catches and it closes that club. So if you've ever noticed that you tend to hit it a little left. So I think a firmer grip is good.
Yep.
The way I would play the shot really is because you don't want to get the club between the rough between the club and the ball. I put it back in my stance a little bit, maybe put a little more weight on my front foot, and then be a little more steep in my backswing and my downswing. So and it's kind of almost like a chopping motion. You got to be aggressive. You don't want to come in shallow because then that rough is going to catch that club face and close it, or it's going to just, you're going to flop that ball short.
So I think back to the concept of chipping and pitching here, right? This is definitely a pitch shot. We're going to have some wrist. We're going to have to be aggressive, and we're going to have to create that two-lever swing like you talked about earlier.
Great. All right. Okay, as we said, the phone lines aren't working exactly yet. We have one phone line, but we decided to forego them for the day and just get used to our remote studio. So some people emailed us and texted us questions from yesterday, since yesterday. So the first question is this. It says, "Hi, this is Barbara. Last week you talked about how to get power in the swing. I feel like I'm getting my hips through and I'm balanced at the end of my swing, yet I'm not getting power. Most of the times I hit the ball 15 yards to the right of my target." So it sounds like to me it sounds like she's sequencing well. We talked about that. It's the hips come through, then the chest, then the arms, and then the club head. I think, Barbara, you're probably not releasing the club well. I see this a lot, especially with women who have never played baseball. Maybe they played tennis, but they haven't played baseball. So what happens is you come through, and instead of after the ball rolling your right hand over your rear hand over your front arm and creating an X after the shot's gone, you're scooping it. So it's almost like you hit the ball and your right palm, your rear palm is facing the sky, and then you finish. So it's more of a scooping action. So what I would do is I'd go to a range with a short tee. I'd take out my 7-iron to begin with because it's shorter and it's easier to use. Then later you can use your driver. Put your feet together so that you get a nice pivot going. It kind of isolates your arms. And then I would do a split grip drill. What I mean by that is you're going to hold the club with your lead hand, the hand that faces the target at the top of the club. Your rear hand is going to be split away from your top hand about 2 or 3 inches. And I would go ahead and take shots working on rolling that rear hand, the right hand if you're right-handed, over the left hand. You might start hitting it left at the beginning, but at least that's giving you the feeling of releasing the club. Then get out your driver, try that a couple times, and then you can gradually widen your stance and gradually bring your hands together. So that's what I would do. All right, Megan, I think you have a question. Hopefully that helps you, Barbara. Megan.
So Joe D., I've worked with Joe in the past, and Joe texted me, and it's more of a statement. And if you knew Joe, you would see where this was coming from. But I'm not sure if this is a question, but I'm going to turn it into one. He texted me, "When I'm hitting off the tee box and if there's water, I inevitably hit it in the water." Period. That was so. I think he's looking for some response on that. To start this conversation, it all comes down to imagery. The power of the visual imagery when we're behind the ball and our confidence, they produce our desired ball flight, so to say. At least it gives us the best chance. So when you're behind the ball and you're acknowledging what's in front of you, any hazards, even a tree line that you have to cover, but especially something as scary as water out there, it's a proven study that if the last thing I say to myself is, "Okay, I'm over the ball, don't hit it in the water."
Yeah.
The ball is going to go toward the water because we've got to always think about what we want.
Exactly, not what we don't want. You're manifesting.
Right.
Whatever
Exactly.
that last thing that you said is, it's manifesting. And this winter, that was my term of the winter with all the people I play with, and everyone started making fun of me by the end. But it's true, you manifest things in your life. I always give the very simple example of you're driving down a highway, you see a deer, and you're mesmerized by the deer. The car starts to go to the right, let's say, if the deer is on the right side. Wherever your eyes look last, that's where your muscle memory tries to get you to hit that ball.
Right.
So you really want your last look to be at some point over the water.
Right.
Or Justin and I did a video on the Golf Institute of where to tee up on what side of the of the tee box to tee up. You want to take that, Justin?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we're looking at where the water is, let's say the water is kind of more to the right side. We're actually going to tee up on that side of the tee box to give us the most amount of space on the left.
Yep.
So that way we're not aiming anywhere near the water. The water's on the left, vice versa. We're going to tee up on the side of trouble and what's called play away from it. A lot of people, I think, kind of tee up where on the same side as the water, and then they're more likely to hit it in that area.
I think naturally you kind of aim your body away from the water then, right?
Exactly.
So, Joe, just to give you a little bit of feedback on that, next time you're behind the ball, I know Joe watches a lot of golf, and now they've got that shot tracer that makes it super fun to watch golf now. So, Joe, I want you to pick your favorite color, and I want you to have a shot tracer image in your brain when you are behind the ball and go up and hit the ball right on that line. So hopefully we can give you something to focus on.
Awesome. All right, let's take another break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
If you suffer from low back pain, joint stiffness, or sciatica due to herniated disc or acute facet joint problems, you need to know about a spine therapy device called ExtendTrack Elite. ExtendTrack Elite incorporates multi-axis spinal positioning, traction, and joint and soft tissue mobilization. Your doctor or therapist can use ExtendTrack Elite to move your body into pain-relieving, therapeutic positions that keep your body relaxed as your spine is mobilized. Learn more about ExtendTrack Elite at spinecaretechnologies.com.
Ever hit that one perfect iron shot and think, well, that's the one shot that will keep me coming back? Well, why does it have to be one shot? Why can't it be 5, 10, or even 50 shots that keep you coming back? That was TaylorMade's inspiration when they designed the all-new TaylorMade Sim2 irons. Their unique catback design is engineered for more forgiveness, more distance, more often. Feel what it's like to play with better irons with the all-new Sim2s from TaylorMade.
FootJoy sets the standard for golf shoe performance and style in 2021 with the all-new Premier Series, inspired by golf shoes of the past, but supercharged for today's game. Designed in collaboration with the world's best players like Justin Thomas, Adam Scott, and Max Homa, the Premier Series features classic styling with premium waterproof leathers and great details that exude craftsmanship. That is complemented by state-of-the-art comfort and performance features like the VersaTrax Plus outsole. Learn more about the Premier Series at footjoy.com. Hey golfers! Most of you have heard about the championship golf course at Bethpage Black, but it surprises me how many people don't know that there are 4 other courses. Not everyone needs to be a scratch golfer to play at Bethpage. The other 4 courses are set up for beginners, women, juniors, and high handicappers alike. After golf, visit our 4,000 square foot pro shop where every item down to golf balls are logoed with the Bethpage Black logo. Visit BethpageGolfCourse.com for more info or to shop online. We are back. All right, Justin, here's when I have the one that Zach sent you yesterday. Can I read that to you?
Absolutely.
Okay, Zach from Massapequa. I'm having trouble hitting the green from 40 yards off the green. Every time I hit it, I chunk it. What do you say?
Yeah, actually, we did this lesson on the golf course. This was with one of our juniors here, and he's one of our top tournament players and, is usually really good with his short game and has actually won a couple events this year and was just really struggling with that 40-yard and in kind of distance. And what we found when we were out there with him was he was taking the club back way too far inside or behind his body, and he would always be kind of hitting the turf before the golf ball and wasn't able to get that perfect strike, wasn't able to control his distance. He was having a little bit of direction control. So all we did was we made sure that when he took the club back, the club head was either parallel or outside of his hands. So when we're looking kind of behind somebody or standing behind a golfer, the club head should line up with the hands or be slightly on the right side. And as we're going through these shots, we want the club to feel like it's going to finish more low and to the left, and the face is going to kind of stay open or looking at the sky. So we found that once he did that, he was able to get the club to hit the bottom of the strike right at the right spot. He was making solid contact, and he actually beat me in a little short game competition the other day. I was a little upset. I haven't been practicing, but man, he got some good work in, and we were really thrilled to see those results.
Well, I have to tell you that we're doing too good of a job, and it's hurting my ego. It's bruising it because our preteens are starting to beat us now.
They really are.
CJ Andino shot 75 the other day.
Wow.
Zach was winning tournaments. Spencer beats you. He thumps you on a regular basis, doesn't he, Justin?
We got
crazy.
Julia Bearden, who's shooting par now, which is great. Amazing. Yep.
Anthony, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Sure.
With your players in high school, what do you see as their biggest trouble shot that they just can't get right?
The shot out of the woods.
Okay.
You know, it's typically because they maybe didn't necessarily need driver, hit it anyway, and it's that pitch out. One, they still trying to. It's a combination of course strategy, management, trying to do too much. But it's that sort of 5-iron, 4-iron, 3-iron, whatever you have, just a little low launching, get it back into the fairway, and that just taking your medicine is a whole thing, right? The mindset of accepting, taking your medicine, committing to a shot, but just they never really get over the fact that they're in the woods and then they don't think about. They think about making par. They're not thinking about just getting out of trouble, and then take it from there.
Well, they're risk takers.
Right. And so it's that little punch out, that little knockdown, just to get it under the branches, get it back into the fairway. The 50-yard shot.
Well, they always say don't follow up a bad shot with a stupid shot. Right.
Exactly.
So, I'm doing this new system called Decade Golf.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm getting, I'm back into competing again. And so I've been going out on Black and testing it myself, which Black, we all know, is a very hard course. So the theory is, it's about avoiding bogeys. It's not about making birdies. It's about avoiding bogeys. So I go out and I measure on our TrackMan my dispersity with, let's say, every club. Okay, so with my driver, I know half the time I hit it 20 yards right, half the time I hit it 20 yards left. So last week I had a practice round for the U.S. Open, and I had a caddy down there, and he's like, okay, you're going to take it over the right bunker, and then you're going to draw it back. And I'm like, okay, first of all, half the time I hit it 20 yards to the right, so that means those woods are in play, and half the times I hit it 20 yards left. So half the time that might work for me, but half the time it's not going to work.
Sure.
So my point is I want to aim at that tree in the middle of the green, and then, he'd be like, okay, now, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take your 7-iron. You're going to thread it over that bunker. You're going to drop it in with a little fade. I'm like, okay, first of all, I don't think I've ever faded the ball since I learned how to play golf. I'm a hooker.
Have we met?
Exactly. Secondly, half the time with my 7-iron, I hit it 7 yards to the right. I'm off the green now, and 7 yards to the left, I'm in the middle. So it made me rethink everything, and I go on Black now, and I play, but I aim for the middle of the fairway, middle of the green, and if I'm 7 yards right, I'm still on the green. If I'm 7 yards left, I'm still on the green. And let me tell you, last time I played Black, I was 2 under, because some of those putts are going to drop. Some of them aren't going to drop. But you just have to play smart golf. Just hit it in the middle. Don't get fancy or tricky. Go ahead, Anthony.
Go ahead. I'll get finished. I want to follow up with that. I think there's something important.
Yeah, and also what Decade Golf says is that, here's what Butch Harmon said. He said, I don't ever tell my players to fade it in or draw it in. Hit the shot that you hit, and it's because that's your best shot. So play to your strengths.
Absolutely. And I think the important thing that you're talking about that Decade sort of makes you think about, and I don't think players enough do, and you would probably want from your students, is to reflect.
Yep.
Reflect on what you're doing out there. And this is important for Woody, because when they go to the shop, Woody, they have to answer, well, what is your miss?
Yep.
Well, you have to know what your miss is. You have to know what your faults are, right? I mean, but I don't think students and golfers who want to get better reflect enough on what they've done so that they understand what their tendencies are.
Yep. And then play to your strengths and your weaknesses.
Exactly.
We're almost out of time.
Okay.
This always goes so fast.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I think we should just have one giant 3-hour show. And
I
then
think
we'll be
we should.
fine.
Absolutely.
And then we won't get up.
You're right.
All right, so I want to thank Spine Care Technologies. They have put starting next week, all of our shows on the air. So thank you. My Roland's here with his family, Dr. Cuccia, who developed the compression machine. Next
Okay.
week it's going to be here at Bethpage, so you should come and try it out.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to getting a little adjustment right after this show. So thank you to them. Thanks to our other sponsors. Remember, next week, we're all going to be here. It's going to be awesome. 6:30, Dr. Jeff has On the Move. 7 o'clock, Megan and I go on with the ladies' tea. Dan Frankel and Justin go on at 7:30 with Little Sticks. Anthony has his 8 o'clock show, and then we're on again at 8:30 with Faults to Fixes. Thank you so much for listening. You're listening to WBWD 540 AM.